Bum, 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 bum. Anyway, sorry.
Welcome back. It has been a little while since I've done a video. Kind of lost my mojo a little bit. Things have been going on. Coronavirus has happened. Our IVF got cancelled right before transfer, which is what we're going to talk about now. For those of you that follow me on Instagram, you'll know what's going on because it's shit. So we were due to go in for our frozen embryo transfer. I had had my one Pro-Stap injection, which was going to stop my cycle and stop my ovulation for the following cycle, which is the one we were going to have the transfer on. I had been in for a lining scan to say my lining was thin enough, yeah. And then I started the estrogen tablets. I did 2 weeks, 3 weeks on those.
The tablets?
Yeah.
No, 1.
Oh my god. I did a week on estrogen tablets. God, that felt like a long time. Oh no, it was between the Pro-Stap and the... I had the Pro-Stap injection, then went back 3 weeks later to have a scan. My lining was thin enough for me to start the estrogen tablets, so I started on those. The following week I was due to go in for another lining scan to see if my lining had thickened up to start the progesterone for my transfer to be the following week. So the day before I was supposed to go back in for my last lining scan, I got a phone call from the hospital basically just saying they were cancelling all IVF treatments and they were cancelling, they were just cancelling everything. And I was at home on my own, you were at work when I got the phone call. The nurse from the hospital phoned me and just basically said, she was really softly spoken, she was clearly upset. I kind of felt bad for her for having to give such crappy news. But then I was like, I'm trying to stay strong because I don't want to cry on the phone and whatever. But yeah, she was pretty much like, we're stopping all treatment. We don't know when the clinic's going to reopen. We don't know in what order people are going to start their treatment back up again. But she did ensure me that our IVF NHS round wasn't over. We'd kind of be able to pick back up with regards to the funding. But yeah, that was a pretty shitty day, wasn't it?
Yeah, crap. Confusing though as well, because you don't really know how to take it because of everything that's going on, and you think that's confusing enough. But
yeah.
we were worried that it was coming, weren't we?
We were worried that because obviously different treatment, and we knew people's rounds were being cancelled because of the coronavirus and COVID-19. We thought, because we were so close, we were only a week away from the transfer, that we'd be all right. We thought that we'd be able to get to the end of the treatment and it be okay, without it kind of stopping or delaying our treatment. Because when you think you're that close to the end, you've gone through, they've funded the drugs, they've funded the treatment so far, they're gonna just scrap that. To me, it just felt weird. So
it was, I think the way they were looking at it, you try your best to see it from their side so that you can understand the decision. And I think the only thing that they were thinking about for even people like us was, we don't want to intentionally impregnate people. And that's a terrible thing to say. I think they didn't want the amount of pregnant women that are going to be on the streets, well, not on the streets, but like population-wise. They wanted to limit that as much as possible because they don't know the risk.
Yeah.
And obviously they can't control everyone. That's just going to happen for some lucky people. But for the people like us that they can control, I imagine that's what they're doing. They're trying to control it so that...
Yeah, it's a risk thing at the moment, I think, because they...
Yeah.
Well, like you said, they don't know what the risks are of the virus, if pregnant women are more at risk. They're currently in the high risk category, but they don't know whether if a pregnant woman does get the virus, if the baby's then at harm. And we have had, like, a lot of people are saying, well, you don't want to be pregnant in this time, and you don't want this, the things that people say to try and make you feel better.
But what I would say to that is that this time that we're living in has only been around for months.
Yeah.
But like this like critical time has only been around for weeks.
Yeah.
So we've lived this life for years. Like we've lived going through IVF for years. So well, you know, going through infertility for years. So this is our world, and then suddenly it's like, well, you wouldn't want to raise them in this world, and it's like, well, this world's only been around for 2 weeks. You know, how are we meant to adapt to that? I understand from that point, but I think people have to understand that it's not just we've lived this life for years.
This is like a journey. This isn't like, oh yeah, you can just have it whenever. You know, when we have to start again, we have to go through all the drugs again, we have to go through all the appointments again, we have to go through all the scans again. You know, only then to get at best 50-50 chance of it working is a really hard one when you were so close. Like that's what got me when they cancelled it, is the fact that it was literally right there. It was literally in touching distance, and we'd started to make plans, you know, which you do. You kind of like trying to figure out when it would be born and if it worked, obviously. And yeah, all of our future that we'd just been talking about got taken away from us within one phone call, and that was hard. Since we've both been involved in the ITV News thing that Paul Brand put out, which was great, article, I will link that in the description box below. I have been interviewed on the BFN podcast, which if you don't listen to, is a really good podcast for the infertility IVF community. They've got a couple of seasons now, 2 or 3. I think they've just started. They've just started season 3. So I'm on episode 2 of season 3. Again, I will link it below. A really good one to listen to if this is all new to you and you're after a podcast that's a bit informative but also quite light-hearted as well. So from here, it's really hard because we've had to kind of pull ourselves up out of this hole very quickly, because with the world being the way it is, you know, we're both at home now. Our business is in the building trade, so we can't work right now, which is really bad. So obviously we can't go on holiday, we can't go out for dinner, we can't do anything other than like walk in and stuff. So we're having to like find new ways of coping. So what do you think, how are we coping?
I think throughout the whole infertility process, walking was actually always a really good thing for us, because it meant that generally you don't have your phone in front of you.
Phone's down, yeah.
You're outside, and generally we just talk through situations. So I think walking is still an option for us to do. So that definitely helps, always has done. But then I also think like just making enough distractions.
Yeah.
So I mean, we live in a great age of streaming TV and things like that. I know it can be a negative thing, just sitting in front of the telly all day or whatever. So I think mixing it up with getting your exercise and walking is good.
You've got to just find something you can control and something you can focus on, because
goals, like
if you're in our position, it is really crappy. But we have to get through. We've got no choice right now other than to make it through this period of time, however possible. Whether that's you sitting on your computer games every single day, whether that's you working out every day, whether that's whatever. Can you hear the dog snoring?
It wasn't me. It's not me.
Can you hear her? Yeah, so you've got to just do your best to get through, and it's really hard, but try and find something you can focus on, a goal that you can set yourself, whether that's reading a new book, whether it's
books.
Yeah, books are a good one.
Learning something new if you can.
Use this time wisely, you know, treat it as if you've had your 6 weeks holiday given back to you from school. Do something fun, hang out with your partner, because a lot of us don't get much time together if you're both working. Spend time with each other, get to know each other again, make new food, make new recipes if you can get the food in the shops.
Or make recipes out of stuff that you've had in your cupboards.
Yeah, make something up, play ready, steady, cook. We have to get through this time, and I don't want to go on for too much longer because, yeah, everyone's got to grieve and deal with this their own way. There's going to be a lot of pregnancies coming out of this. lockdown, which is going to be really hard for us in the infertility community, knowing it's never going to happen for us. Or it's never going to happen for me anyway, because I've got 2 blocked tubes. So we've got to get through, and we will get through, and eventually we will get to the end, and there will be light at the end of our tunnel. We've got to stay strong and focus on ourselves for now, and just do what we can to get through this time, because it's weird. It's a weird time.
Yeah, no one knows. No one's been through this before. So
yeah,
it's new. It's very new.
Is there anything else to say?
Oh,
I do want to say that we 100% appreciate the NHS, and we're not bashing the NHS for their decisions. We're not bashing the fact that our round's been taken away from us from the NHS's point of view.
No, it was from the NHS's point of view, like, it was the right decision. I know that's hard to say because it hurts, because it wasn't across the board, but in terms of protecting the NHS that everyone keeps talking about, you know, I think the nurses that were on our ward, fertility ward, would probably be working now to help fight this virus. So you can't not say that isn't the right decision with everything that's going on. It's just
for us. It's hard to take because the HFEA, who's the Human Fertilisation Embryo Association, something like that, they're the ones that make the rules about IVF, have come out and said that everybody that had started treatment should have been able to finish, and IVF should stop by the middle of April. So for us, we're sitting here like,
that's annoying. Really
annoying. But that statement came out after our treatment had stopped. So our hospital obviously thought they were making the best course of action, because they thought that that's what was coming from the association that we had to follow, from the guidelines. And I don't know whether the goalposts changed. I don't know whether our hospital was just hasty. I don't know what happened, but it's hard. But we're just going to have to understand that they think it's the best choice. But for us, we think it's not. But you're always going to think that about yourself, aren't you? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the love and support that you always send us. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel.